Hi, everybody. Welcome back. We're in the Southern Hill Ascension post show. I'm Eduardo, joined here by Noah. And Noah, we got to see. I mean, we're gonna dive into Smiling Brit in a bit. Let's talk about the other two scenes briefly. You got to eat your vegetables before you eat your dessert. So whichever one you want to start with, right? Whoever was Lejo and Astrid, kind of at that ice bar, or if you wanted to look at more at like how Eric and Nora interacted.
Well, Astrid just went to kvetch with her father's best friend who rescued him from a bear once. That's a friend you can trust. And she just came to vent a little bit, cool down in the ice bar. And she's just really worried that Aurora's going to take Orson away now that he's back. And she's not sure if she's going to sedate him like the doctors say, or like what the hell to do. So that's a tricky one. I feel so bad for Astrid. I feel like Orson needs like a special ed class and he would be fine. I don't know. Maybe some therapy.
It wouldn't be the first Johansson that got sedated. Given what we know about the start of the show.
That's
They're hopefully different sedative.
The Johanssons do like their narcotics, and it really runs in the family there.
Yeah, Eric needs a little bit more stimulation from what I could see. That's a different take, but he's God. Like, yeah. Anyways, we'll probably dive back into Eric, but here's the thing. I can't hold it back anymore. Smiling Brit is too urgent to talk about. So our production team is going to just have that video that premiered today. It's not very long. We just get to see Brit's lovely eyes once again, where she tries to resolve the confrontation. She doesn't remember starting, and then has a strange encounter with her own reflection. But I like this as well. Cameo here, by the way, is hidden by her faces, so that was really Pinata. By the way, I saw in chat they loved not really Pinata, but the person with her, who kind of came after Brit. Brit was like, okay, fine, I accept you're rejecting me, I'm gonna have to go. And he, like, somebody called him a Giga Chad. He comes up, he's like, yo, we got another support session later, just come back later. It's all good.
Right. Well, sometimes, it's just not a right fit. You gotta keep trying, you can't let just one group of people set you back. Who are they? They're not the god, but you can really see the family resemblance. Smiling Brit really takes after her father, and also similarly to her father, there's a crime that she's not sure how it happened, was committed. Like smiling father, like smiling daughter.
Yeah, so, I mean, it runs in the family, so to speak, right? But I'm sure you and the audience had a field day with like I remember watching the scene. This is one of the few scenes for like preparation reasons. I didn't know what was gonna happen, so I spoiled myself. I was like, we're gonna be fine tonight talking about that because Smiling Brit is here, and that's like always a gift, right? When you ask somebody to smile and they just do, it's just such a gift there.
It's I've been told that my smile can frighten men. I've been told this before. I don't know.
Competition from Brit, Noah.
I do got competition, but Harry Mason here says #smiling Noah. We'll see. Will Smiling Brit triumph? I hope so, because we want her to stay sober. And y'all chose the redemption option, right? This is what one she just left. She was like respectfully left the room, and she's gonna come back later, maybe, because the guy was like, maybe something is fishy here. Like, you don't deserve this, maybe a little bit. I don't know. It was so mean. Poor Brit. She's just trying to stay sober.
Yeah, she's just trying to get help, and she can't get it. So, but again, as many of you know in the audience, that's, as they say, developing storyline. We're going to get more info on that because we started getting to this point where Brit's character is starting to be defined, right? She replaced Carl, and again, Carl was redeemed. But as a result, we haven't had as much time with Brit as her own character, kind of just more parallel with Astrid. But Noah, if you could talk about kind of Fate and Hope, because as we dive in, Brit as a character is starting to get defined, but that has ramifications.
Right. So, as you all know, the decisions and the endurances and the puzzles, all of them contribute to whether or not a character will face redemption, suffering, or damnation in the Silent Hill Ascension final. So, their fate is decided across the length of the season, and you want to keep their hopes high enough if you want them to survive a crucial story moment. And we have seen this in the past with Carl. Being redeemed, Toby being damned, and or wait, was he suffering or damned?
No, he died. He was redeemed, but like different kind of redemption. We just died.
He died. Okay, but it wasn't going well for him anyway while he was alive. So okay, sometimes
the hope was down. No, I mean, to be fair, he saw his dead sister constantly, and I was getting
he was
no
half
help
dead
from
already. Yeah, he was half dead already for sure.
Yeah. I mean, he did what he could, right? Like a little bit of this martyr side for Toby. But as a result, right? Like Britt is getting defined. We had Carl kind of getting redeemed. Britt's still being defined, but it seems our audience is very strongly on the. Well, it started to like balance a bit between damnation and redemption. It used to be a lot stronger, I thought, but like it's still Britt is still one of those characters that like brings out redemption from our audience a little more than others because. Right. People seem to want to protect her. There's a huge clan of our audience, a huge part of you that are like, we got to protect Britt. We got to save Britt. A lot of you are empathizing with her, which is actually, considering the storyline of Britt, is actually really lovely to see.
Right. I see Johnny Zombie Boy here. He's saying #save Britt's liver. Her liver and her life are one and the same sometimes, But and I see Zasner. He says #leave Britt alone. Leave her alone.
Yeah, and we also have people trying to start different calls. May the merge be with you, of course.
Yes, as always.
Somebody's like trying to start a call for Toby, and I'm not going to spoil it. We got a little something at the end, but like not too many spoilers. And people ranking characters as well. Love to see it. But that's the thing, right? There's like this long-term growth of our characters, and we are contextualizing them, right? We're letting you know what's probably going to happen. You just don't know when it happens, but we're letting you know that in the season, that's going to happen. So what's going to happen is also our production team's going to put up on screen a character we haven't mentioned, which is Astrid, who's honestly been on the redemption path kind of since the start. That's on screen. Know if you can read through that, and then we're going to dive into Astrid because that scene, Astrid's wandering with Orson. There's a big decision going on as well on how will Astrid manage Orson when Aurora visit. That's ongoing. There's a lot with Astrid that's probably going to develop over the next couple of weeks.
Right. So right now, the general sentiment here is a strong redemption and a positive hope. So Astrid is doing good by the audience. They want her alive so far. Top decision was what will Astrid do with the evidence of Carl's guilt? And y'all chose turn it over to the police, which was, as Eduardo said, redemption. The most heated decision, though, was how will Astrid handle Britt missing the funeral of Ingrid, the mother? And y'all chose be understanding, which was actually the domination. But this precious relationship is so important. You chose that over lecturer, which that one was actually the redemption.
Yeah, and that happened 2 or 3 times. So every time it was Astrid and Britt, you chose the option where Astrid was closer to her sister. Damnation be damned. Now, one of the things that I will say, like for Astrid fans out there, because I know you're out there, audience, you talk about the other characters, but I know you're secretly like also fans of Astrid, which is cool. The thing with her is, she has to deal with 3 generations of, and pardon my French, so to speak, bullshit. She's got the parents, and Carl's the best one out of those, both Carls, including the smiling Carl, which I still believe is better than Ingrid, alive or dead.
She can't even smile in the mirror. Honestly, she can't even have like a smiling doppelganger.
No. Then she's got her own generation, including Eva, who did like a horrifying tragedy. Britt, who at least is trying to better herself. No matter what, Britt is trying to get things done better. So at least that's a nice relationship that's developing with Astrid. And now her kid. She has to deal with her child coming out with the creepiest, wackiest stuff. And still trying to hug Orson. Still trying to figure out what to do with her kid. I feel like that's a rough one.
Yeah. Eat it up. Gobble it up. performance, the actor performance in the scene, it legit really creeps me out. Like it like makes me afraid of the dark a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it's giving me a vibe for sure. Awesome performance because he's really like he's just like reading the story. He's like gobble it up, take your hate and eat it.
Yeah, wonderful story. Bedtime, a classic, grand classic of literature. I'm glad we got to hear it. I'm sure we all remember that from our childhoods.
I remember actually my father reading me such books. I don't know if y'all ever got introduced to some old German fairy tales. Do not recommend. It is very disheartening. They do not end well. There is no happily ever after that came after it got here.
Well, actually, that was like a big difference with the Grimm fairy tales. They were like specifically designed to terrify children with their morals. Like whereas the fairy tales of before, like often there were morals, but they were a little bit more open, a little bit more, here's what you could do positively. The Grimm fairy tales were very much about, don't do this or you will die again and again and again. Although this one isn't, the goat one isn't you'll die. It's just like, yeah, no, whatever. Hate, give the hate. Take it, more hate. It's all good. Now, that said, we do have I could transition here, but honestly, it's going to Pennsylvania. There's a decision that opened today. This is involving a character that needs to get a little more fire in him, I think. It's Eric. That's going to be on your screen, the decision opening today. Noah, if you could present it to us.
Let's emulate our Eric here. Just kidding, not yet. I don't know if ever, but how will Eric handle Nora's demand to be set free? Sounds like a reasonable demand. She is brought back the child, well, he can trust Nora and let her out, which is the redemption option, or he can let her out and betrayal her. That would be the suffering option, or he can tell her you can't help. So he can tell her you can't help, which is the damnation option.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of like Eric, like, if Eric's motivation is faith, it makes sense to me to kind of try to at least get Nora out of there. By the way, I like to tell her you can't help. It's like very corporate-y. It's like, sorry, my manager can't let you out of here, so I can't do anything. Not my fault. Somebody else's. But like I think between it, like kind of that redemption and suffering option both kind of make sense. Is like, does Eric trust Noah? Does Eric not trust Noah? But in both cases,
Nora,
right?
Nora, not Noah. Hey, he trusts me fully.
Oh, well, Lord, what a mistake. Anyways, but here's the thing, right? He, like essentially, knowing what happened to Faith is kind of important, right? Rachel, as you said, Noah, was gung-ho about like, I want to find out what happened. Eric has that opportunity, right? He's talking to the person who found it. Eric also asking about the lady in the woods. You heard also Astrid asking about the lady of the woods. A little bit weird, given they're a little separated geographically about this one. I guess different ladies, different woods.
There are woods in both these places, and I called it. I told you I have very good deduction skills, and I told you from the beginning that I did notice Pennsylvania and Norway are both cold.
That's true. So more connected than we thought. But then the question, right, for the audience is like, how do they see Eric doing this, right? I would see Eric as wanting to find out. Like right now, Donation's actually so you, the audience, are seeing something out of this that I'm not. Which I'd like you to tell me. Like, audience, what is it that like you believe like Eric just wants to lock Nora up? What's up?
I feel like if I was Eric, and I don't know if maybe it's because Nora is how people call me an accident, but I would trust her and let her out. That's just my inclination. I'm kind of like pro Nora right now.
That's fair. I guess the idea, right, is like, how much is Eric into the Foundation? If he's more culty, then yes, it makes sense to not let her out, right? Because locking people up is kind of a nice culty thing to do. Make sure they see your point of view. Or they're forced to see your point of view. But we'll see that, right?
Right. So we are actually nearing the end of our post show here. So let's recap all the shenanigans we had in our cold woods in both sides of the world.
Right. So one of the things is the Lady in the Woods was mentioned both in Norway by Orson and in Pennsylvania by Faith. Eric asked Nora about it. Astrid talks to Leha about it. Nobody has a clue except the children. Maybe you should ask the children, actually. They might know. But they may not be able to provide more info, right? One bites too hard. One wants to slice up their dolls too much. We got to see Smiling Brit. That was a treat. So honestly, I think how Brit's storyline is developing is definitely something to watch for the audience, because we know, like, with the kids, that things will happen. But I'm actually curious what happens to Brit as a result, right? She's kind of on her own path, trying to sort herself out, which makes sense, right? Before saving somebody who drowns, you have to learn how to swim yourself. So good on Brit for that stuff. That's great. Now, I did foreshadow something. Our next show, so we haven't had a guest in a while, so we'll have a guest on Friday. That's the good news. So they said it couldn't be Dawn, but we found the technology. So here's the thing, Nora, right? Toby's dead.
Why'd you have to remind me?
Well, I got good news. It won't be with you. It'll actually be with Layla, but he's coming back to life. So in our next show, that'll be Friday, 5:40 p.m. Pacific. There is a show, of course, tomorrow at 6 p.m. Pacific. That's our normal show. But in our next pre-show, 5:40, you'll see myself and Layla. But in our post-show, we will have an interview with Michael Toby Ursu, essentially Toby's voice actor. But for all intents and purposes, Toby is coming back. Yes, I can see the audience is loving it right here. Everybody's excited to see Toby come back. So honestly, we had we obviously do some technical tests to make sure everything's fine. You're going to have a delightful time, audience. You don't want to miss it. That'll be the Friday post show. You get to see Toby coming back to life, which, well, we hope you love that surprise. We hope you do look forward to it, as well as, of course, the storylines. So Noah, good news for you there. You'll get to watch though, but still enjoy.
I always watch. I love watching, similar to Xavier.
Yeah, Xavier. I mean, people starting to have theories about Xavier in the audience as well. I love them seeing, right? It's like we have all the other stuff going on, and it's like, Xavier's kind of weird. I do agree. Xavier's weird. Whenever you got chance on it.
Yeah, low-key, high-key. Oh, Lordy, Lord, it's Toby! Who's ready? I'm so excited. I can't wait to see that, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it will, we'll dive a little bit more into, obviously, like the part of the process behind it. Maybe with some luck, you'll get to see a little bit more of the Toby side as well. That'll be neat. But again, that's on Friday. So next things for you, the audience. We're going to cut our show soon. But tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific, you get to see more scenes as every weekday. 5:40 p.m. on Friday, but also Mondays and Wednesdays, like today. You get our pre-show, and our post-show follows right after the shows, where we break it down. But the next one on Friday does have that interview with Toby's voice actor, who does other stuff. We'll break that down when we have our guest on, Michael Toby Ursu. So all that said, thank you so much, audience, for being with us tonight. We hope you had a delightful time in the company of Noah, myself, Smiling Brit, Nora, all the characters within our show. Now that said, wherever you are around the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, evening, or night, we hope you had a great time, and we'll see you next time.